What's going on? My life recovery seven peeps. I hope everyone's having a great day. Um 6:37. Day's pretty much gone already. Um I had a very blessed day. I'm alive, I'm sober, and I'm creating content. I can't ask for a better day than that, right? Today, uh today's video I wanted to touch base on some stuff I read last night. I took some notes, 'cause, try to remember everything at my age, But, based on some data through early 2026, adolescent deaths due to drug overdoses have begun to decline following a peak in 2021 and 2022. While the suicide rates for young people also show a decline in 2024 after a long period of increases, those numbers are going down, but are still up at an alarming rate, if that makes sense. Um, it's doing better than before, but we still have a problem, with our adolescents. Um, the drug overdose deaths for 2025 into 2026, they're showing like a declining trend, but following years, I'm talking about years of rapid increase driven by the fentanyl and all the garbage that's on the street. The fentanyl overdoses are unfortunately up. Um, every day, like they say, somebody ODs on fentanyl. Every day, and it's sad that at least 3 out of 10 people that ODs today, God bless, are under the age of 16. You know, um, recent data from CDC actually indicates that the overall drug overdose deaths in the United States fell nearly 21% as of August of 2025. That's a lot. That's a lot. People with bikes always gotta drive by the neighborhood at the wrong time. You know, age-specific improvements. Um, young age groups between 15 to 24 saw a significant decrease. Actually, decreased by 37%, which is actually good. But there's always a but somewhere. It's still increasing due to the fentanyl, unfortunately. 2023 and 2024 was actually the largest increase of deaths of fentanyl since the fentanyl epidemic started. Um, the fentanyl impact, despite of many declines and things that our government are putting in place to stop fentanyl from coming into the country, still unfortunately it's still playing a major role in overdose deaths. You know, um, we gotta try to protect our young people, our adolescents. That's the future of our America, man. And I know we can't help everyone, and that's why I'm doing these videos to hopefully reach out to some people, because like I said in my previous video, just one word, man, can change somebody's life. Like seriously, it can. When I was in rehab, um, some guy told me his story. He was telling the story to everybody, but everything he said was like, "Oh, that's me. Oh, oh, he knows what I'm going through." It's like, wait a minute, now it's starting to become creepy now. But If it wasn't for me hearing that, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys. You know, so let me get back to this. Adolescent suicide deaths, um, in 2025 into 2026 has decreased a lot as well, but it's still at a peak. And unfortunately, the suicide rates are among those of young kids under the age of 10 to 14 and older and as old as 15 to 19. You know, so young, so young, even 20 to 24 years old. You know, um, but it's just such a subgroup of people that are going through a lot of stuff right now, and they just feel like they're alone, and that's why I'm trying to do what I got to do and do as much as I could do to reach out to some people through these videos. You know, for like the drugs, the ODs and all that stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that really don't want help. Some people unfortunately go into rehabs and detox centers just to get out of the cold or to try to get something to eat. You know, and because of that, the people that really want the help, that's really looking for the help, can't get it. You know, um, and which is unfortunately it really sucks because it's really going on, man. Um, a lot of people nowadays, especially in my era, I'm an '80s baby. We grew up not having feelings. We're not supposed to have feelings. Um, we got to suck it up. We got to man up and do what we got to do. And I'm just happy that hip- that is so wrong. It's so wrong in so many places. Um, we are men, and as men, we go through a lot of stuff. I'm not saying females don't. They do. Trust me, they do. But we go through a lot of stuff, and a lot of the times, a lot of the stuff is put on us. I'm not saying that all women are like that because they're not. I know a lot of great independent women. Um, but yeah. So back to what I was talking about. I'm sorry, I'm like everywhere. But the declines on the suicide for the young kids, it's going down, and I'm I'm just hoping that those numbers keep decreasing. Even though we are decreasing in numbers, there's still a lot of people committing suicide, overdosing at an alarming rate still. Um, Despite recent decreases, youth suicide rates remain high, as they do, and that's just unfortunate. The suicide remains actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the third leading cause of death between ages 10 to 24 years old. 10 to 24 years old. The third leading cause of death is suicide. That's over about 6,500 deaths almost per day. I believe they were saying. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please leave a comment. Let me know. Because some of the stuff I was just reading on it, and some of the stuff I'm just reading off my notes. As I go for my walk. You know. But yeah. So that's pretty much wrapping up. That part of this conversation, and damn, man, if we can do whatever we can just to reach out to one person, I feel like we can say we made a difference together, you know? Um, I would love to go live and invite people to my channel so we can talk about stuff like this, but I can't do it without you guys, you know? I need you guys. I need you guys to love it, like it, subscribe to it, share it, and let's get this movement going because this is what I want a movement, because eventually I want this channel to become something of a safe haven for people. People that are going through it but don't know how to go about it, they can reach out to me. We can go about, seeing detox centers or rehab centers in their town, setting them up you know, with clinicians that will help them, get basic needs, help them get off the streets, so eventually, that's what I want my channel to become. I know it's going to take time and a lot of work, and I'm willing and able to do this, because for a long time I felt like I didn't have a purpose. For a very long time, I just felt like, oh, well, this is my life. I'm a drug addict and I just got to accept it and move on with it. Sorry about the cutoff, guys. My camera's acting dumb, but I just never thought I'll find what I was looking for. Um, I want everybody to say hi to my daughter Annabelle. She's been a great part of my recovery. um, but yeah, man, we gotta start protecting our youth here. Come here, you little one. My baby. And the other one too. I have another one inside, and then another one inside. I have two more inside. But the best part about being in recovery is actually, being the father I know I can be to these beautiful girls, and my son. Um, Everything is just wonderful now. I took a lot away from them, as I was in active addiction. Um, but now it's just my life is so much better, you know. Um, as I start thinking about, everything I did, you know, um, you start feeling bad about yourself and you start feeling like a piece of crap, you know, um, you gotta start to find ways to forgive yourself for what you did. And the only thing I can say, if they forgive you, right, baby, then that's all that matters, man. Everything that brings that joy to me, the smile on her beautiful face. It's a little bit dark. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah. So I want to continue to keep doing what I'm doing. I want to make this go as far as I can possibly take it, and I need your help by liking, subscribing, and sharing my videos. I can reach a wider audience. Um, Definitely want to keep doing this. I feel like that's my purpose. I feel like that's what God put me on this earth to do, is to help people who are struggling with mental health and addiction. Um, my next few videos, I'm gonna start, introducing my family, you know, like I did today with my little one Annabelle. And eventually I'll introduce everybody to Harmony and Leland and my wife Diana. Um, Even though the channel is very young still, I just started it. the amount of love, the comments in some of the videos are just overwhelming, not but in a good way, not in a bad way, but it just shows you that, what, and me as well, that I'm not alone. Everybody is struggling with something. Some people, like I said before, do like look down upon us, like frown upon us, and but if there's one thing I can say is never judge nobody without knowing their story first. Because a lot of people, I mean, man, I thought I had it bad and I thought I was struggling. And as I was in rehab, listening to some of these guys and these women, it was like, wow, if they survived that, I can survive this. And it's just sad because some people are just, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but some people are just too far gone. And when I say that, it's like when alcoholics, they develop wet brain. Um, some people use fentanyl for the first time and OD and sadly pass away. Um, oh, I'm sorry, I thought I saw something. uh, um, but yeah, it's just let's keep this going, guys, man. Like I said, I'm looking forward to this journey, and I really want all you guys to go on this journey with me. You know, um, like I always say, if nobody told you they love you today, we love you, and may God bless everyone. And again, I can't do this without you guys, so please like, subscribe, share. Um, things will get better production wise, as the channel grows, but you got to start somewhere, guys, right? Again, I love you guys. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Annabelle, you got anything to say? We love you. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next video, guys.